Michael Pierson. So, well, I'm going to give you a second. Hilaire, tell us why you're here today.
Okay, for those of you who don't know, my son Pierson was a speaker at this WAT 2 years ago, and we lost him this January to suicide. So, on why we find it important to speak up, and I'm going to quote him on this one, because he had said, "I speak up because someone has to. Mental health is everybody's business." And I watch these numbers increase when it comes to the suicide rate here in the Kansas City metro area. And I'm reminded of another thing that Pierson would say, is that we as kids need you to take care of us. And if you don't listen to us, then we cannot trust you. So it's important to speak up, but it's also important to listen. So when someone is telling you that they aren't okay, please remember that it's not easy for them to do so. At that speech 2 years ago, Pierson said that it was very difficult. It was very difficult for him to say that he didn't feel safe. We made sure that he had a safe place to speak up, and we listened and we stood up for him. So it's important that everyone needs to learn the warning signs, because suicide isn't a joke. It's very real, and it's happening way more often than it should. Awareness does no good if people don't believe the person who's reaching out and they don't offer help. It's easy to say, reach out and speak up, but we can't always put that on the person who's living with the mental illness to do so. We need to be able to learn how to speak up and reach out to those who are struggling, because they sometimes aren't able to ask for it. They're not able to ask for the help that they need. So we have to help each other. Now, my husband and I, we allowed Pierson to speak publicly about his thoughts and feelings on what it was like to live with a mental illness and suicidal ideations, because we never wanted him to be ashamed of who he was, and he would tell anybody who would listen that he wasn't. He was brave, bold, giving, and kind, and he wanted to make a difference. He wanted to change the story for himself and others when it came to mental illness. So I speak about mental health now because it's my son's legacy. He started speaking at the age of 9, and he was only 12 when he spoke here at the WAT 2 years ago. And his words and insights as to what it was like to live in today's world as a child, feeling the way he did, those words are invaluable. We need to listen to these kids because they can help us figure out how to change this story. The insights of all of us that are here today who are survivors, our insights are valuable and important too, because we are able to provide the knowledge that those who haven't lived it cannot. Those who only study it but haven't experienced it, their stories aren't the same. We are living history. Our stories, our children's stories, our friends' stories are important. It's not easy, but we have to speak up, and I have to share Pierson's words because maybe someone else can be helped or inspired to make a difference too. So I know that my son's friends, a lot of them are along the walk already holding signs, but if anyone here is with the Pierson Project or anyone who knew Pierson or had seen him speak, would you raise your hands? So you are the reason that I speak up. I'm speaking up for everyone here, all of you, because I want people to leave here today and know that there is hope. I want people to know that they aren't alone, but I also want people to know that they have to listen. Too many people in my son's life didn't actually listen to him, and he was failed by those who needed to realize that the world our kids live in is not the same one that we grew up in. And I'm gonna actually quote Tupac. You see, okay, well, I don't know the name of the song. You see, the old way wasn't working, so it's on us to do what we gotta do to survive. I wish that my son could have survived. I wish all of the adults here, whose kids that we have lost, those kids, I wish they could have survived. I miss my baby every single moment of every single day. These kids, they lived, they were loved, and they mattered. And it's too late for my son, but it's not too late for others. We need change, and I have to be a part of that change that our youth need, because change is what has to happen if we want those numbers to go down. And I have to help finish Pierson's story because he's now one of those numbers. One of the numbers and names that we as the Pierson Project will be bringing to life. So those who need more than just a speech, so that they can realize that something has to be done. Pierson liked the quote, "When the heart is affected, the mind is challenged to change." By showing these faces or these numbers, making them tangible to people, like groups like Speak Up, when they go to talk, they can have these numbers with them, the visuals. We hope to affect hearts by showing the faces and showing the numbers of those that we've lost, so we can change the minds of those who haven't been affected by this horrific reality, so that they're motivated to change the ways that are no longer working. So I thank all of you who are here today in supporting this cause. And I want to thank Speak Up and everyone here who was so helpful and supportive of our son. Thank you.